Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and today we have an absolutely crazy story out of the DFW area, and in this particular story, a killer allegedly murdered one of his coworkers because he didn't like the number of breaks that this woman was taking while she was on the job. And the insane thing about this particular story is that's not even why I'm covering it. That's not even why I'm interested in it, because there is a very special celebrity cameo in this particular story that you are not expecting. It's a total plot twist, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
Louisville police say a man murdered his coworker because he became obsessed with her and focused on how many breaks she was taking at work. 51-year-old Travis Merrill is charged with murder. Court documents reveal that after his coworker complained about him obsessing over her, he created a detailed plan to kill her in front of their coworkers because she, quote, caused him pain, and he wanted her to feel it too.
So let's be clear about this. This is an absolutely tragic story, and my heart goes out to the victim and the victim's families, and of course, the people in the store who have to deal with the trauma of one of their coworkers killing another. But in addition to that, you have a mentally unbalanced man, very likely, that became obsessed with a woman that he worked with. He starts to come under the impression that this woman is going out of her way in order to hurt him. That's part of the obsession. He becomes very stalkerish, and for some reason, he starts obsessing over the time that this woman is taking during her breaks, which honestly, maybe, just maybe, the reason why she's taking such long breaks is due to the fact that there's a creepy stalker, borderline homicidal maniac that is working with her at this particular location. So all of that is 100% true, and if this is proven to be true, I hope for the maximum sentence for this criminal. It's all fine and dandy to talk about people who have mental illnesses before they hurt people, but afterwards, we gotta show them the consequences.
Well, neighbors of the suspected killer say he was a bit off, but they had no idea he was charged with murder until we told them today.
Now, with all that being said, it is very important for you guys to understand that the true reason that I'm covering this story is that the local Fox affiliate decided that it was appropriate to interview the neighbor of the killer, and you might recognize who this neighbor is, and it's all gonna make sense to you in just a little bit.
I see him all the time.
Darcy White says he never had a good feeling about his Louisville neighbor, 51-year-old Travis Merrill.
I kind of felt something strange about him.
Okay, seriously. I know people out there in podcast land can't see the video, but you guys who can see the video, who can look at this man, who can hear how this person sounds, that is clearly and obviously Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle?
Like, are we being serious right now? Local Fox affiliate, you're going to take a very serious story about an obsessive coworker and then go and interview Dave Chappelle about him?
I kind of felt something
Dave Chappelle?
strange about him.
He even sounds like Dave Chappelle. He looks like an older version of him. Obviously, Dave Chappelle in costume, like, you know, in the beginning of the show where they do the Chappelle Show thing. But that's definitely him. That is definitely Dave Chappelle.
Dave
Chappelle's
Chappelle?
neighbor murdered his coworker for taking breaks that were far too long, and I'm very suspicious of the fact that Dave Chappelle is accepting shirts from a killer. And guess what? So is Dave.
White says on Sunday, a relative of Merrill's was moving and giving away belongings from Merrill's apartment.
He gave me the shirts. He said son had to go out of town.
I mean, come on, guys. Do you not hear that? Do you not see that? Do you not notice that this man is clearly and obviously Dave Chappelle? Listen to that again and tell me that's not his exact voice and cadence, and that this guy doesn't at least look like an older version of Dave.
He gave me the shirts. He said son had to go out of town.
That is definitely him, and if it's not, it's uncanny. And honestly, if I was this guy, I would take a DNA test because he may be the long-lost elder brother of Dave Chappelle, but for whatever it's worth, I'm just saying this guy is obviously Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle?
It was not until Fox 4 told White on Monday, however, the reason Merrill is no longer his neighbor is because Merrill is charged with murder.
And so this is that man's shirts. I have a killer's shirts.
Now, I'm going to give you some more details about this particular crime because, yes, it is very bad, but take note of the fact that that's definitely Dave.
According to an arrest warrant, Merrill walked into Allegiance Trucking in Louisville on October 17th, where he worked, and shot and killed Tamara Collazo, a female coworker. The affidavit says Merrill admitted to police he was obsessed with Collazo and began getting ever increasingly angry by her taking what he considered to be unauthorized long breaks during work hours, as well as not paying any attention to him. The woman reported his behavior to administration. Merrill had to speak with a counselor until he was approved to come back to work.
So yeah, again, back to the original story. Like I said, this guy became obsessed with his coworker. He was reported. Whoever that counselor is probably needs to be fired for clearing this person, because all he did was take the fact that he had to be sent to counseling and meet with them as motivation for this killing. And honestly, I understand that that person probably feels terrible, but the whole point of you being the person to assess whether or not he's going to do something is if you clear him, we expect him to not do something. It's absolutely crazy. And again, other than the fact that we have the Dave Chappelle angle to this story, the counselor should be at the heart of the issue right here.
He told police that once he returned, everyone must think he's a psychopath and that Collazo was intentionally avoiding him. Police say that fueled his anger and led to him buying guns and making a detailed plan to kill Collazo. Police say he brought 2 revolvers and shot Collazo 5 times while she was at her cubicle. 24 coworkers witnessed the shooting. Merrill gave himself up once police arrived.
Yeah, so here's a perfect situation where something probably should have been reported up to law enforcement. Maybe a restraining order could have gotten put on this individual, but you have a woman who trusted her employer, trusted her company, reported it through the proper channels within the company. They end up evaluating the guy, saying that he's not dangerous, and he becomes enraged by this. He thinks that everybody at work thinks he's a psychopath and decides that he's going to prove them all right by buying 2 revolvers and executing this woman in the workplace in front of a dozen coworkers. And then after he ends up doing that, he just surrenders himself and he explains his crazy reasoning to the police.
It's pretty sad.
Adriana Solis and her 13-year-old son lived next door to Merrill. Solis says he would ask her personal questions, leading her to be cautious of him.
Now we have another interview from another neighbor who says that she actually had many interactions with him. She was the directly across the hall neighbor, and she felt very uncomfortable with the fact that this guy was asking her a lot of personal questions. And honestly, I understand why she would avoid him, obviously in hindsight, but it's important for you guys to understand that this is not one of those cases where the neighbors didn't know anything other than Dave Chappelle, who just thought he was a nice man who gave him some shirts. But this woman felt very uncomfortable by him, and she would avoid him because of that. And even if this situation would have worked out where he was fired and wasn't able to kill that coworker, it is entirely possible that this woman could have been targeted due to the fact that he was obsessively asking this woman all these different various personal questions.
I was thinking maybe that guy have some problem mentally. We never know what is inside of each house.
Look, I understand that that counselor must feel absolutely horrible about this whole situation, but the fact of the matter is, even the across the hall neighbor says, obviously there was something wrong with this guy mentally. That's why I avoided him. So I can't understand why this guy was able to be cleared for work to return to the company after there was a complaint voiced about him. But to be 100% fair to that counselor, all of this information is not available at the time. And who knows how many different various employee complaints that this person got that turned out to be nothing, that were also not red flagged, that also didn't result in an absolute tragedy.
I see him all the time. I kind of felt something strange about him.
He gave me these shirts.
He said son had to go out of town.
And so this is that man's shirts.
I have a killer's shirts.
Now, of course, we can only wish that the extended full interview of Dave Chappelle will be published for us all to see so we can get his additional takes. If anybody can find that, if anybody at Fox Fort Worth, Dallas, whatever the number of the station is, wants to send me over that footage, I will break it down like the Zapruder film. But this is what I want to leave you guys with. You obviously have an absolutely tragic story. You have the celebrity angle of it, but I want to know what you guys think about this whole situation from top to bottom. Now, as per usual, if you like the video, you show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Dave Chappelle's neighbor killing a coworker. Till next time.